Welcome to 2023 Real Talk with Mike Burke, and my special guest today is Tamu. And I know we know each other, but I have no clue what your last name is.
Curtis.
Curtis.
Yes.
So I'm on the air today with Tamu Curtis. She is absolutely famous in the Charlotte cocktail scene, and we're going to have an exchange of cocktails. I am a boring cocktail maker at home, so I'm like the family style weekend warrior, right? Mm-hmm. And you're the professional. So she owns the Cocktailery. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Cocktailery here in South End, Charlotte. This concept is so unique and so special that I do see this in every major city in the U.S. Can you tell the audience today what the Cocktailery is?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's
on my
lovely.
First podcast ever.
Well, I have the biggest crush on you. My girlfriend is basically, you like Tamu? And I said, absolutely. The girl radiates good energy. She's positive. She smiles. She's upbeat. You have style. Like when you walk in the room, it's like all the eyes go on you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the third wheel. I'm the third wheel in this that dynamic.
Love it.
So, the Cocktailery, I opened in September of 2021, and I call it a cocktail supply and beverage lifestyle shop. So basically, we are a brick and mortar. We sell all things for the at-home enthusiast. And that's very intentional. So we sell everything from barware, bitters, syrups, glassware, entertaining stuff, cocktail picks, all the things, just to make the at-home experience more approachable. In addition to that part of the business, we also do in-person cocktail classes. So not only can you come to the shop, get everything you need, it's a little overwhelming because we just have rows and rows of syrups and bitters. A lot of times people come in and they don't know how to use a lot of the products that we have on the shelves. So we offer cocktail classes. So in our cocktail classes, you come, you learn how to make 3 different cocktails. We do public classes, private classes. It's super social. We're all about teaching technique, teaching balance of cocktails, teaching the elements that make a cocktail, so that when you're at home, you can look in your pantry, you can look in your refrigerator, and you can know how to construct a cocktail on your own. So we want to empower people to drink more than vodka sodas or Cran vodkas at home.
I know, right? When I literally got out of college, I think I had Boone's Farm sip from some girl one time, and then I may have had a vodka cranberry with maybe some Malibu or something in it.
Right.
And we used to make a drink in college, and I think on one of the podcasts previously I've actually mentioned this drink, and it was a fraternity party drink. Mm-hmm. And I think we took a cooler and made it with one of the spouts on the bottom of the cooler. You ever seen the coolers that are square?
Yeah.
And they have like the little thing where you can drain the...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how we poured the drink.
Yeah.
They put the ice in. We would take pink lemonade and dump the whole canister of pink lemonade.
So jungle juice.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, basically. And we would take a bottle of Sprite, a whole 2 liter. We would take, I think, 2/5 of vodka and throw in there, and pink lemonade. And we would take whatever we could find to circle and stir it, let it sit, and then we would pour it. And we, at the fraternity house, as a unified force, came up with this name for this drink. And this name of this drink is probably going to offend a few women out there, but it's actually called Pink Panty Pull Downs. So it's a frat house in college.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my experience in mixed cocktails.
Well, you were far better than I was with mixed cocktails.
Okay.
I don't think I really even had a mixed cocktail probably until, like a true mixed cocktail, probably until I was in my later years in college. Maybe I was, 21. I mean, when I was able to go out and drink legally and actually have something that somebody constructed. But at that time, because we're around the same age, we'll just leave it at that.
We are around the same age. We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Cocktails weren't really that great. We hadn't really gotten to the craft cocktail era. Right. So, I'm drinking probably like, Crown and soda, Amaretto sour was my fancy drink.
Oh.
A lot of cosmopolitans.
Okay.
Apple martinis.
Okay.
For days.
And I know a little bit about you. This was in L.A.
This was in L.A.
Right. We're going to go down that road a little while. So I'm going to talk about what we're about to do right now. We're about to make a classic drink that has been around for generations, and it's the old fashioned. And a lot of mixologists, craft cocktail specialists, have their unique design. It's a signature, I guess you could say.
Right.
You're going to be like, bro, this is my signature, right? And you're going to make a signature drink. I'm going to make what is, I think, is a very good signature drink for your homiest. Home, how would I say that? Your home hobbyist.
Right.
Right? So I'm going to make mine, which I've been told many times is a very good old-fashioned.
That's how we got here, because you told me that. And I said, well, you haven't had mine yet.
Exactly. I'm like, well, let's do a mix-off here. So we're going to do a mix-off. And we've been watching a little bit of this show on Netflix. And I am really bad with names, but it's the cocktail mix show.
Drink Masters.
Drink Masters, there you go. And, man, they have gone beyond what I've ever even thought was possible with drinks. And they've turned it into art. And it's amazing to watch. It's really cool to see the details and mixing the syrups and mixing this and doing this. I'm like, wow. We've come a long way from Crown and Coke.
We have.
A long way. So today, my drink of choice is made with Basil Hayden Dark Rye. I found this drink through traveling. And I had an old-fashioned at I don't even know where it was, because I've been all over the world here lately, and it could have been somewhere where the guy made it, and I'm like, whoa, that's a really good old-fashioned. And when I walk up to the bar, I'm like, hey, just make a really good old-fashioned. I leave it to the bartender. So wherever we go is usually an upscale or nicer restaurant or either a nicer bar. And the mixologist there, bartender, I guess you could say, I'm like leaving it up to him. I'm like, bro, you make these all the time. I want to have your creation, because I want to have your unique drink. And I would sometimes say, listen, if you had some buddies that came in from out of town and you wanted to make an old fashioned for them and you wanted to impress them, impress me.
Okay.
That's what I do.
And how does it turn out for you? Like,
sometimes they're awful.
Right.
I mean, really bad. I'm like, bro, they're so sweet. They put so much sugar in it, and you just like think you're drinking, whoa. And I don't tell them they're bad. I'm just, oh yeah, it's very unique. It's very different. I haven't had one like this before. I'm sure you've had similar experiences.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just mostly it's too sweet.
Yeah,
is where I find.
Yeah.
And then also when I see what type of ice they're bringing out to use, I'm like, oh, this is going to be trash.
Yeah.
Because the ice really matters in terms of the experience when you're drinking an old fashioned.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
So you're going to make one, I'm going to make one, and we're going to have a drink, and this is really cool. And so explain to me, I'm not really aware, even though I use these utensils and I use what's here. So what is this called?
So this is our jigger, and this is what we're doing. A jigger.
Okay, got it.
And this is our measuring tool.
Right.
Okay.
Measuring tool is equals to jigger.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay.
Dictionary translation.
Right, exactly.
Perfect.
This is key.
Okay. And there's two sides to it. So
two sides.
We've got one side that's what?
One side is 1 ounce, the other side is 2 ounces.
Okay.
We hope.
I think
right.
It
looks about right. It could be 3/4 of an ounce and 1.5 ounces on the other side. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But they all come in different sizes, different shapes. Why they are key in making cocktails? Because cocktails are about balance.
Right.
Okay, you want to balance all of the different ingredients you have in your cocktail. You want to balance those flavors.
Okay.
How are you going to balance that and get it precise or get it right every time is by knowing how much of each ingredient you're using, right? So when you are making cocktails at home, a lot of times, we're just pouring, stirring with our finger, sitting in front of the TV, right? And it's going to be too sweet, it's going to be too strong, it's going to be too much citrus in it. But if you can get in the habit of measuring your ingredients, you're going to get a better quality cocktail more consistently when you're making cocktails. So jiggers, our friends.
Are your
Everybody
friends.
needs.
All right, so you design these other little things. What are these?
Okay, so these these are cocktail picks.
Cocktail picks. And
Yes.
what are they used for?
No, these are for the garnish.
Okay.
Okay.
Like
so
the lemons, limes, cherries.
limes, whatever you
Decoration.
want to decorate. There you go.
Got
you
it.
want to decorate your cocktail.
Yep.
We consume things, we look at things with our eyes first. Okay, so we want it to be visually appealing. So a cocktail pick is a way to add to the experience of drinking your cocktail.
Does this say Cocktailery on
Yes, that C is for cocktail.
What?
Or it could be C for Curtis, or it could be C for Charlotte.
Who? Ooh, I like that. We did that at the same time, you know that. So where'd you make these? Who made these for you?
These got done in China.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
I did this probably beginning of 2021.
All right, so how many did you had to order to get a discount?
Well, I thought these would be something I'd give away as promotional items.
And they
I
cost
did
a little
about
more.
2,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
$1 a piece, maybe.
$1 or two a piece. Hmm.
Are they that much?
They are.
That's crazy.
They are. Because they're dipped in gold.
I know. You told me that this weekend when I saw you. You were like, I like everything.
And it has a mold on it. See, it's a mold, so it's not like
Right.
it's just stamped.
Oh, I love it.
You
So I
know,
guess if
so-
you ordered 5,000, they would probably be a little cheaper.
Yeah, they would
Got
be a
it.
little cheaper.
And how long did it take you to get them from China? Like a month?
No, it usually takes about 60 days, 60
So
to
2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months.
So a month
give
to
them,
make
give them,
them,
give them a
and a month
month
to ship them.
and a month to ship them, and that's shipping by sea.
Right.
You know,
Got it. There's no FedEx.
there is no. Well, they have DHL, but it's
it's costly.
It's very costly.
Right. These are
Yeah.
super cool. I love them.
Thanks.
They're super nice. They're a little sharp too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a process too. You know, working with China and going back and forth on the prototypes
Yeah.
and the time difference.
These are cool. I
Yeah.
like them. Branding is everything.
It is. I'm into, my background is in marketing, so I had a really clear vision on when I was designing the logo. The spoon.
Love.
Look at that. See that?
Love.
See
love.
that? See
Love.
that?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Love it.
Brand recognition.
It's what is the thing like when you're watching TV and it's subliminal messages?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're watching TV and there's like boom, there's like a subliminal message. You're using your cocktail pick. See.
Right, and when I worked with my designer, my graphic designer, she did all the branding and the graphics. When we were coming up with the design of the logo, when we were looking at different things, and I was like, I want you to imagine it being translated on different products. Okay, so that was always in mind.
What I think of, and I'm going to go really crazy, but in the 1980s, okay, and I'm looking at this. And it reminds me of an Indiana Jones movie where he takes the staff and he goes boom, and there's like a little eye right here in the middle, like a medallion, and the sun comes right at you remember the movie? Indiana Jones,
I've seen them all,
Temple
but
of Doom, where
yes.
he goes in and he does where the Russians or the I'm sorry, not the Russians, the Germans, yeah, and and it shows and pinpoints exactly where the tomb was, and that's where he goes and he goes down the snakes.
Well, see, listen, I like that idea because for my grand opening for the next location,
We're gonna make this a tomb.
We're gonna have like the big spotlight of this in the sky.
So cool.
That's gonna it's gonna project right down to the location.
Love it.
Okay, there we
All
go.
right, so we're gonna move ahead.
Okay,
and
let's
I'm
get into it.
going to give you first reign at I want to watch the process of what you do first. I want to watch the pro.
Okay.
And then I want to try to duplicate how my skills are compared to yours.
Okay.
So I want to watch. And as you're doing it, I want you to explain to the audience exactly what you're doing. So if you wanted to make this cocktail again, on our YouTube channel, we will post the Cocktailery. You have a YouTube channel?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll put the website.
Maybe I do. I don't
So
know.
we'll put the website, we'll put your Instagram, and we'll also put this drink on our page. So if anybody wants to make this drink at home, they can duplicate this process. And you can go through the steps. So the first step.
This is kind of what I do every day.
I love it. This is awesome.
Okay.
Date night 101.
Date night 101. So the old fashioned is a cocktails that we're going to stir.
Stir.
Okay.
And why do you stir versus shake?
So you're going to stir a cocktail that's going to be all spirit based cocktail.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're going to add any kind of citrus into
I'm ignorant. spirit base means what?
It's going to be just all spirit. So if it's a Manhattan, it's there's no citrus in it, and you're not putting any.
Okay, so
syrups.
a spirit forward means in basic elementary terms, there's no citrus.
There's no citrus.
It's boozy.
It's boozy.
Got
it's
it.
usually all
Got it.
spirit based. Okay.
I can understand the word boozy.
Now, the old fashioned, even though we are putting syrup in it, that's kind of moderate because the original old fashioned pre-prohibition times, they used a sugar cube that they would muddle.
Was it brown sugar?
No, just a regular sugar cube.
Okay, raw sugar.
They could, if they had
whatever.
raw sugar, whatever they had back then.
Sugar.
Right. So they weren't using simple syrups. That's something that is more modern.
Okay.
So that's why that's something that we do still stir.
Okay.
But conceivably, you would think that you would shake it because we're putting syrup in it. When you're shaking a cocktail, another difference between shaking and stirring is when you stir a cocktail, it's going to keep that mouthfeel. It's going to keep it nice and silky. Okay. When you shake a cocktail, it's going to aerate, and you're going to get bubbles, and you're going to get all this life, and we don't want that with like a Manhattan or a Negroni.
We want to keep it calm.
We want to keep it calm.
Right.
We want to keep it silky.
Got it.
We want to keep it sexy.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever been water skiing?
No.
You've been on the boat early in the
Yes.
morning? They call it glass. So when you go water skiing, you go at like 6, 7 in the morning.
That sounds nice.
It's called
Okay.
glass. That means there's no wakes, there's no anything.
Yeah.
And if you want to ski the glass, we're going to make the glass.
Okay, we're gonna make the glass. Exactly. That's what we want.
We want glass.
Okay.
Love it.
So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my whiskey. I'm using Willette's whiskey. I have not used this before.
Okay.
We had a little sip of this before we got started.
Very tasty.
Very tasty. It's a little on the sweet side.
And I'm going to give a shout out to my boys at Southern Spirits in South Carolina. This is where I buy most of 90% of my alcohol.
Okay.
They give me a really good deal if you go in and mention Mike Burke. I don't know if they'll give you a discount, but maybe they will. Say Lightning sent them over here. No, but Southern Spirits is a really good store. They have a very big selection.
Yeah, they were. I've discovered them a few years ago.
Oh, right on.
And
Cool.
so I go there a lot for.
Okay. So how many ounces are we
liqueurs and
going to
stuff.
use of the Willet rye?
So I like to use 2.5 ounces in my 2.5
Okay.
in my old fashions.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna make 3.
Okay.
So why don't you hand me that bigger mixing glass?
Uh-huh.
So we are going to just assume this is
2 ounces.
2
Right.
ounces.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely 2 ounces. Okay, so I'm pouring this in. I'm doing 3. So right now,
You're doing 3 drinks?
one for Audrey, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll do 1.5. So on this side, already making a mess.
It's all right. An old table, we're good. The more stains, the better.
Right?
Gives it nostalgia.
Okay, so we have our whiskey in here.
Okay.
Now, for each 2.5 ounces that I use,
Okay.
I like to add 1/2 ounce of my syrup.
Okay.
Now, I like to use a richer syrup that's going to bring out some of the more vanilla flavors, some of the caramel flavors.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a Demerara. Okay, a raw sugar is good.
What's a Demerara?
It's a raw sugar
Okay.
syrup basically.
It's more organic.
It's more organic,
Got it.
and it's just going to have a little bit more depth of flavor.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit thicker. I would normally use 1/2 ounce, but because I said this rye was already a little sweet,
Right.
I'm just going to do 1/4 ounce per 2.5 ounces
Okay.
of the whiskey I
So
used.
it's a very good idea with whatever bourbon or rye to pre-taste it prior to making your
Absolutely.
old fashioned.
You should always taste your cocktails before serving them.
I'm not saying taste the cocktail, but taste the
even-
bourbon or
but
the
even-
whiskey
yeah,
prior to mixing it or prior to stirring it.
Prior to mixing, prior to stirring, even
Right.
if you make your cocktail, you want to taste it.
Yeah.
Right?
Most bartenders or mixologists, they take a straw.
They take a straw and they taste it.
Yep.
That's great. That's great habits to do.
Good.
Okay. So we have
And
our
you put
syrup.
in how many? 1.5.
1/4 ounce for each.
1/4 of an ounce
Yes.
for each 2.5
Yeah,
ounces.
so 1 ounce.
Got it.
Okay. And now I'm going to add my bitters.
Got it.
Okay, they ain't no old fashioned.
Now
if you
explain to
don't
me
put,
what a bitter is.
So a bitter is basically a tincture. Okay, so it's
A
going to
what?
be a tincture. It's going to be a concentrated mix of herbs, root, spices
Okay.
that are going to have been, I like to say, I won't say aged, but have been, we'll just use the word aged with a really high proof spirit.
And how do you make a bitter?
How do you make a bitter?
Yeah, I'm just curious, because I've heard people making their own bitters. And I'm like, how does that happen? How do you do it?
You're just going to take, say I want to make a cinnamon, allspice, we'll call it a Creole bitter. Cinnamon, allspice. I'll use some type of maybe angelica root, something that's going to give me a bittering agent. I'm going to put that with a high proof spirit, a high proof dark spirit. And I'm going to let it sit there for a good, 6 weeks to maybe 3 months.
What?
Yeah.
Get out.
It sits there. And it gets concentrated flavor.
What do you do? You mix it and just sit it in a jar?
Yeah, you just put it in a jar, stir it a little bit, and let it sit.
For 3 months?
For up to 3 months,
What?
yeah. And then you're going to get this really, really concentrated flavor. You can put citrus peels in it.
Audrey, did you know that?
I have a whole book about how to do this.
Yeah.
I've never seen you make a bitter before.
I haven't. I've read about it, but
who has time? Yeah, because then you wait 3 months and then you taste it and it doesn't come. It's not right.
That's crazy.
I can go to the Cocktailery and buy whatever bitters I want.
You're right.
Right.
How much is a bitter?
They range between 11 to.
When you sell them in your store, what do they sell for?
I think the least price one is about $12.
Okay.
Most expensive is probably about $35.
And what's a $35 bitter? It's made from roots from...
And unicorn tears.
Unicorn tears. I love it.
Yeah, I don't. It's the process, and it is the products that they're using.
Got it.
As well.
Yeah, I got it. No, that's cool. That's
but it's
really
an investment
unique.
because
Love it.
you're only using a few dashes of your bitters, so your bitters are going to last for a long time.
Got it. So you're going to put bitters into this drink.
Yes. So
and
I'm going to
how many do you put in?
So in my original, I do 3 dashes per cocktail of Angostura.
Okay.
I always like to use Angostura as my base bitter for an old fashioned.
Angostura mean?
Angostura is the first bitters that were ever made. So these were from Trinidad. Okay.
No,
so these are from Trinidad. These
I love the history lessons.
Yeah. I mean, these are like maybe from the 1800s, I believe. So they've been around for a really long time. Bitters were also always used originally as elixirs for stomach ailments because it has all of those bittering agents in it. Think of when you're drinking ginger ale because it calms your stomach.
Got it.
So a lot of times people would just drink bitters and maybe club soda.
Oh, right
and
on.
it's very calming for your stomach.
So you're going to put 3...
I'm going to put 3 dashes, so because I'm making 3 cocktails,
1, 2, 3.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Love it.
Love it. Now, a lot of times people like to muddle orange into their old fashioned. Muddle is when you will just press or grind your fruit or cucumber or something into the cocktail.
But then you try to drink the drink, and it's like you got the floaty stuff all
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I think the orange kind of overpowers the old fashioned.
Yeah.
So what I like to do, because I like the essence of the orange, is I like to use orange bitters.
Right on.
Okay, so we're going to use some orange bitters. These are by Dash Fire. These are really popular in the shop.
Dash Fire.
Mm-hmm. So these are a bourbon barrel aged bitter.
Wow.
Okay, so we're going to get a lot of depth of flavor in here.
Man, no wonder these drinks are expensive these days.
They're $15
to $18 now.
These things are these bitters itself are $19.
I'm going to have to get me some. Let me taste this drink first. Make sure. Love it. Damn, you're killing that. Okay. 9 again?
Yeah. So no, that was I wanted to do 2 bitters per cocktail. But this has a pretty tight spout, so I just went all in.
Got it.
Now, just a little extra, because I wanted to be impressive today.
Ooh.
I thought I'd just put a couple of dashes of black walnut bitters.
Black walnut. That sounds delicious.
Yes, a little bit of a nutty flavor to it. Just 3 dashes. We don't need too much.
Yeah, just enough to give it some.
So now I have all of my ingredients in.
Okay.
Pass me the ice over here.
All right, so you have a big cubed ice.
I will have big cubed ice. So why do we want to use big cubed ice in our old fashioned? Because we don't want our ice to melt really fast and dilute our cocktail. Okay. We want to have the ice slowly melt into the cocktail. So when you're getting the old fashioned and it has the ice chips in it, it's fine. Not every bar at home, not everybody has the what do you call these things? The big ice trays. It's fine. It's just going to melt a little bit faster. Oh, no, I'm good.
You're
doing
making 3 drinks.
Yeah, no, actually I am making 3. Give me this one.
You're all good, baby.
I was supposed to just make 2.
It's all right. You get to drink 2 drinks.
No, you're going to drink 2 drinks too.
Yeah.
So the big cubes don't melt as fast. So you're going to get a better quality drink while you're drinking. Okay? So now we're going to go ahead. We're going to put some ice in our mixing tin.
Okay.
In the perfect world, this would have been a mixing glass.
Oh, yeah. We were, mobile today.
We're going to make it work.
We did the best we can.
And I'm going to stir this about 20 times. I want to get some of this this
15
dilution.
seconds, maybe?
Maybe 20 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
I want to get some of this dilution from this ice that's in here now. We always want to have a little bit of dilution in our cocktails. It loosens up the spirit.
It starts to frost a little bit, right?
Yeah, just stir it till it gets cold.
Okay.
And I'm also stirring this because I do want to get some of that water. There was always a dash of water added into like an old fashioned, right? This is, dash of water.
Yeah, it opens it up.
Yeah, so back in the day before they had refrigeration, they had, can you pass me the strainer? Before they had refrigeration, they had to use, a dash of water. We get our water now, that dash, by stirring our cocktail with the ice or shaking our cocktail. Okay. So that's where our dilution comes from. I'm going to go ahead and pour these into our glasses.
Love it. So how many days a week does the Cocktailery do classes?
We can do classes. We do public classes Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it's 12 max, right?
12 max.
Okay, so it's 2 tables of 6.
2 tables of 6. We want to keep it intimate.
Right.
We want to keep it in control because once people start drinking, it gets hard. It gets hard to control everybody. We also want to create an environment where people can talk to one another. When people come and sit down, you talk to your neighbor.
Right.
You have conversations with them. We're all doing the same thing, and
super fun.
Super fun.
Runs anywhere from how much to how much?
The classes.
Yeah.
They run from about $90 to $110.
Okay.
It depends. Some classes.
But you do food.
Yes. Some
pairings.
Classes we add food into it. Like we've done oysters and cocktails.
Crazy.
Is that the one you came with too? Yeah.
It was crazy.
We've done bourbon and burgers.
Okay.
We've done tacos and tequila.
Okay.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking an orange peel and I'm just expressing it over the top of the cocktail.
Super cool.
Because I want to get some of these more orange essence without having to actually.
I'm going to give you some room to work over here.
Thank you. I know. I'm trying to work around this mic.
It's all right. It's all good.
Now, I'm not going to drop the orange in just because I feel like we have enough orange going on with the bitters.
Got it.
And I'm going to go ahead and just save my garnish for doing cherries.
This is cherry?
Yeah, so these are cherries.
Okay.
Now, these are very comparable to the maraschino, the Luxardo.
Okay.
It's really difficult to find a good cherry that's not Luxardo.
Yeah.
This is probably the closest. This is a Filthy brand. This is the Filthy brand black cherry. Okay. It's a few dollars cheaper. With inflation, these at the shop are like
save
crazy. Yeah, exactly. And these are just like the Luxardos. You don't have to put them in the refrigerator after you open them. So, they just stay out on your counter. I like to do 2 cherries on mine because it's really good.
Love it. Love. Money.
Money, baby.
Man, this looks like a dollar bill.
Okay. So, Audrey, are you coming over here to get your old fashioned?
It looks delicious.
I'm ready for you.
I think she's ready. We're gonna give her a ranking of this old fashioned. It's probably gonna blow my mind.
Probably will.
Yeah.
It smells good.
It smells delicious.
Okay.
Love it.
All right, good people.
All right, so which one is the one that I'm getting?
You're
Square
gonna
glass.
get.
I like
yes,
the square glass.
Exactly.
You get the round glasses.
Okay.
Let's do a toast to the Cocktailery.
Cocktailery. Thank
Right.
you. Cheers.
Let's try our old
The C could
fashioned.
also be for cheers.
Oh yeah,
on
C
the
for
pit.
you have all these. Love it, love it, love it. Wow, that's super good.
That's good. That's a lot of flavor.
That's really good.
It's got a lot of pop. No, this one's pretty delicious.
Yeah, it's this black walnut
I can taste it.
bitters. You
I
taste that,
absolutely
and
can
you
taste
see
it.
I used the least of that. It added a lot of depth.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's
very delicious. Wow, that is really good.
Yeah, so bitters I like to say are like the flavoring of the cocktail.
Okay.
So people come in the shop, they're a little intimidated by bitters. So we have a bitters tasting bar. So for every bitter we carry about 50 to 60 different bitters. You can go through a bitters tasting with one of us at the shop. And we'll walk you through tasting bitters, how to use them in a cocktail.
Right.
Because once people understand how to use them, then they're like, oh, I get it. It's like the seasoning salt.
Yes.
You know?
It's the spice of cooking a steak.
It's spice.
Like the salt and pepper.
It's the salt and pepper.
It's the salt and pepper.
It's the
of a
salt.
drink.
Exactly.
Love it. It's super, super cool. So the people who come to the Cocktailery for date night and girls' night out, it's a diverse amount of people coming, all ages.
All ages. Yeah, that's what I love about it. And that was, I really designed these classes to be that way, so that everybody feels comfortable coming.
Right.
I think that drinking is a social activity.
Oh, 1,000%.
Right. So, therefore, it loosens people up. So people that you may not walk down the street and have a conversation with, you're going to sit at this table when you're making cocktails and start to talk to people. So we have a lot of like empty nester people that come, in their 60s, to people who are just, beginning their journey into like, fine dining and dinner.
I'm going to get into the details a little bit.
Okay, let's get into it.
Where did the brainchild of this come up with? I remember meeting you.
Tell him a whole story from the beginning with Liberate Your Palate, or even before that.
But,
oh, wow.
But
okay.
Here's the thing. I met you 4 years ago at somewhere in downtown Charlotte. You were at a bar and you were doing classes at other people's places.
Right.
And I don't remember what the place was called, but it was probably about 4 years ago. And then you were just traveling around doing shows. And that's what I remember of you. And then all of a sudden I get your name brought up again and it's like, oh.
I don't remember meeting you.
I met you.
Stalker.
It's all right, baby. But I want the audience to get the full picture. So on this show, a lot of people go, what do I talk about? Like, what is Real Talk with Mike Burke? Well, what it is a lot of things. Number one, I want to know who you are, what you're about, and how you got there. Okay? Who you are, what you're about, and how you got there. And you're a woman in today's world that is... In the last probably 5 to 10 years, women have created a louder voice, and men are listening.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you women are standing up for yourselves more or you're louder. I think women now are not relying on men as much, which is great. It's empowering. But I don't need to have any views or any points because they're not my views or points I want. I want the audience to hear yours. And so I want you to take me back from high school to now.
Wow.
And I want you to paint that picture very to the audience of who you are and how you got to where you are today. And if you're going to inspire a young man, a young woman, an entrepreneur, people are at home and they're like, I watch this TV show all the time and I love doing this. And, if they create a business, like who in the hell?
How do you do it?
I'm just going to go in a weird direction, but who in the hell years ago when Atari came out, thinking that millionaires were getting paid to play video games? And that's the world we live in today. So any idea is not a stupid idea anymore.
Right.
They're not stupid anymore. I mean, you got YouTube millionaires, you got Instagram millionaires, you got TikTok millionaires. You got 25-year-old kids driving Lamborghinis because they made a couple of viral TikTok videos and now they've gone crazy. But anyway, I want to know your story and how you can inspire other people, because from what I understand about you is about 1%.
Right.
And I know we went into a couple of conversations the other night when we had some conversations. And I know I grew up here in Charlotte. My parents were, hardworking class people. We didn't have a lot. I think my dad financed my first bicycle to me, and he's a finance guy. He taught me math. He taught me numbers. He taught me compound interest. He taught me how to have a value for your dollar. And he also taught me that you don't buy a lawnmower if you're making $50 an hour when you can pay somebody else $10 an hour. Why do you do that task? So if I can just stay an hour more a week at work for $50 an hour, why am I coming home to spend 2 hours cutting grass?
Right. That's what I'm learning today. That's what I'm learning now.
But anyway, take me through your story. So in high school, you're from L.A.
No, I'm from Oakland originally.
Oakland.
Yes, born and raised in Oakland, California.
I know California
Okay.
about 50%. So you got San Francisco, you got L.A., you got Mexico.
And you have Oakland is Northern California. So
Okay.
that is going to be up. So that's northern, okay?
North of San Francisco.
North of well, it's across the bay, so whatever that's going to
Okay.
be. So
Okay.
there's a bridge there.
Okay.
So it's
Right on.
it's about 20 minutes from San Francisco.
Okay.
Go over Bay Bridge to get over there.
Bay Bridge, Oakland, California.
Oakland,
So
California.
who's your team?
The Raiders.
Oh, no. Love it.
Raiders.
Cool. Black
You know.
and silver.
Even when they came to LA, I was in LA. I was already going to school when they were in LA, so I was able to go to a couple of games when they were at the Coliseum.
Okay.
That was wild. But yeah, so born and raised in Oakland. Oakland is a pretty. I used to think it was a really big city, but as you know, I'm an adult now, and I'm like, it wasn't that big, but it felt big to me. I loved growing up there. I had a great childhood. I went to, had a lot of friends in high school, was a pretty popular social person.
Probably broke a lot of hearts.
I really
You
have.
ever been married?
I've not been married.
Broke a ton of hearts.
I really have a lot of problems with anybody. You know what I mean? I pretty
What
much
the
got along with
hell?
everybody.
Wow.
My parents are hard workers. They grew
Yeah.
up in a middle-class family.
Okay.
My mom's an educator, so she
Yeah.
worked in San Francisco Unified School District
Right.
my entire life, so she commuted. My father was a computer programmer, systems analyst guy, so he worked over Silicon
So what
Valley,
did you do?
Foster
Did you go to
City.
school did you go to college out in California?
I went to college in California.
Where?
I went to UCLA.
UCLA.
So that's what brought me to Los Angeles.
Okay.
Is when I left home to go to college.
Got it.
So LA, I was a political science major at UCLA. I thought I was going to go to law school. I was going to be a defense
I
attorney.
could see you as a lawyer. You and Audrey both. Y'all tag
Right.
team, man. I'm in. Yes, guilty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really, for me, it was advocating for people who
Yeah.
did not know their rights.
Okay.
Okay, so I've always been somebody who was about, integrity and people being treated fairly.
Right.
So when I see people are not being treated fairly, I'm going to speak up or, I want to defend that person.
I love it.
And that's what I wanted to do most of my life. And then I got to LA and I said, okay, well, maybe not a defense attorney, maybe an entertainment attorney. That seems a little bit more glamorous, right? And as I was in school and I was getting close to graduating, I didn't see being an attorney as something I wanted to do. There were so many other fields in entertainment because I saw myself going in the entertainment field for me to do besides just being an attorney. Maybe I wanted to make movies. Maybe I wanted to be in the music industry. But what I wanted to do was get out there and work. I've worked my entire life. I've had a part-time job.
What was your first job?
My first job.
Where'd you flip burgers? I know you did.
I never worked, listen.
You never did fast food?
I never worked in
Oh,
fast
my
food.
God.
My first job was working in a health food store.
Health food. That's cool.
Yeah, health food. They made their own tofu.
I cooked burgers.
This is the Bay Area. We got a bunch of hippies out there.
Oh, okay.
But I learned there how to count change out of a register. But yeah, that was my
cool.
first job. I always worked in the summer times. I worked at summer camps with
Yeah.
kids and stuff.
Got it. So after UCLA, what'd you do?
What did I do after UCLA?
Did you get a job?
I got a job, yes. What was I doing at the time? I believe I was working for Chrysalis Music in music publishing. I was a secretary.
Okay.
That's what they called them back then. Secretary,
Oh.
receptionist when you first walk
Yeah.
in. Hey, welcome. Who are you here to see?
Love it.
Right? Picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Chrysalis
So
Music,
you
who are you
have
calling?
you have your answering phone voice.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Tell me what you used to say. You have every routine.
Thank you for calling Chrysalis Music. Can I help you?
Love it. Soft voice.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was great. I learned a lot. I made a lot of contacts. I really got immersed into the music publishing world, so I knew a lot of producers and songwriters, and from there, I actually got fired. It's kind of got fired, and I quit at the same time.
Okay. You're on your way out.
I was on my way out.
So what's next?
So after that, I actually went into bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping.
So this is what happened. So because I knew all these people in the music industry, there was this one guy that would come up, and he come in for meetings, and he represented a lot of artists. He was an accountant. He was a business manager. And so I ran into him one night at a club, because I used to club. I used to be out. Like,
you partied.
Love it. I had the best time.
I'm going to say this in a very respectful way. You boogied.
It was not the 70s.
It was
now. It was
Boogie?
the 90s.
No.
Okay.
I watched that movie. What's it called? Boogie Nights.
That was the 70s.
John Travolta. What was
Mike.
that? What was that?
That was the
Saturday Night
60s.
Was it?
Yes.
Damn, I watched those movies in the 80s.
Oh, maybe that was the 70s.
Maybe it was.
Yeah. Okay, we're in the 90s now. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Love it.
Hip hop was alive.
Hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ran into him at a club, and he was like, "Hey, I heard that you're not at Chrysalis Music anymore." Had a great personality. When I left, people were like, "You're not there anymore."
Right.
No.
They followed you. They wanted you.
Yeah. So I was like, "But aren't you an accountant?" I was like, "I don't know. I was terrible in math. I barely passed math."
Wow.
My classes to get out of high school. Like, I did great in everything else. For me to go to UCLA, I had a conditional acceptance to where I had to take a calculus class at a community college that summer before I was I went to UCLA.
In high
and
school.
I didn't even finish it. I just went anyway. And I said, "Oh, they're gonna come snatch me out of this class," when I never told my parents. I would just act like I was going to the class. I didn't go.
Wow.
And math was my nemesis. And my dad was a math major in college.
No.
So yeah, that's how bad I was. He couldn't
You
even
didn't
help
want
me.
to tell Dad.
No. So anyways, I made it through that one math class at UCLA. I begged the professor to pass me because I didn't pass. Right. And I said, "I'm never going to, I'll never have to do this again." So I was like, "Well, isn't that like, math?" He was like, "It's not." He's like, "Basically, it's record keeping." He's like, "Come on in." And so I went in, and I'm a very methodical person. Okay. I'm very detail oriented.
Love that. That's what the world needs.
Yeah, it's just, I hold myself accountable. Also when you're dealing with other people's money, you don't want to lose somebody else's money. And when it came down to reconciling bank accounts, listen, I don't want to be responsible.
I'm gonna tell a funny story.
For messing up.
My dad traveled a lot, and when he came home, and I know he listens to my podcast, so I'm going to say this anyway. I felt like I was in a board meeting. I'd be at the kitchen table. "Hello, son. How are you today?"
What did your dad do?
He was a controller. Accountant.
Okay, yeah. I ended up being a controller.
Okay,
and that's
so
when
he was paid, like he would go, I think, to do acquisitions of other companies and have to review the records of their business and then give an evaluation to his board to say, this is what we think the company's worth. So he was a number cruncher.
Right.
And it was so funny because I remember being at the kitchen table and he was kind of ticked off, and I'm like, "So Dad, how are you doing?" No, I'm just kidding. No, he was balancing his checkbook. And he was off a few pennies or something.
Oh, yeah, that's unacceptable.
He would go nuts.
Unacceptable.
It didn't matter what TV channel it was on. It didn't matter if it was a commercial. It didn't matter what was going on. With me and my sister could be fighting. He was pissed off that a couple of pennies were off in his checkbook. He was like going back for an hour.
Yeah, where
the hell is
that mistake? What is
it?
Yeah.
That's how accountants think, though.
That's how they think.
That's crazy.
And it was really hard for my parents to grasp for me that I did that. And I was like, well, it's different because I am just keeping records, basically. I have a 10 key there.
Yep.
Client asked me a question on the phone. I put them on hold.
Love it.
Figure it out and let them know.
Those QuickBooks of 1990.
Exactly. It was problem solving.
So when you moved there, what was next?
So from there, I ended up moving back to the Bay Area, and I
closer to mom and dad.
Closer to mom and dad. It was, and I still was in bookkeeping. I worked for a nonprofit. We worked in a DOS system, so that was even more challenging in terms of numbers and crunching. But what I've learned is the woman that ran that accounting program didn't even finish high school. No, she never went to college. She just had a high school diploma.
Right.
And this was like a multi-million-dollar,
a lot of smart people like that.
Yeah,
Tons.
right. And I was like, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And she was like, it's just GAAP principles, general applied accounting principles. Okay, and once you learn those, you could do that in everything for accounting. So I went back to LA, and I worked for mid-sized companies, mid-sized entertainment companies. I eventually became a controller. So I worked for Morgan Freeman's company as a controller. I worked for Handprint Entertainment that was run by Benny Medina and Jeff Pollock, who passed a few years ago. But at the time, they managed Usher and Mariah Carey.
Wow, that's awesome.
Tyra Banks. So, so I did the books and did the forecasting and did everything.
You were managing big money.
I was managing big money. I was like, it had some responsibilities.
What the hell were they spending a month?
I don't even know.
$100,000 a month?
something like that. I don't,
they were
like, crazy.
Bodyguards, cars, houses.
Right. Well, so this was the management company. So it's just like what we were paying for them as management. We weren't like, I wasn't like their personal, right?
Got it.
So it was like their business side.
Got it. That's cool.
So yeah, so I had a lot of
really cool,
background.
though.
So that has helped me today. So a lot of people don't understand, like when they see
the background.
I have the background.
Yep.
What I know is I know how businesses operate. I know what those line items are, right?
You can read a P&L like crazy.
I can read a P&L. I can read a balance sheet, right? So it's also made me a little lazy until I got my own accounting firm to do my books, because I would wait to the last minute to do everything because I know I could just put it together. Procrastinator.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
God, I just tasted the orange bitters.
There's so many layers.
I went from
right?
walnut to orange. Now I'm tasting orange. Like, what the hell? So what moved you to freaking Charlotte, North Carolina? I know you're a bookkeeper. You know all the movie stars, Morgan Freeman,
so then I
company.
worked in marketing too. So
Where'd you work in
marketing?
marketing?
For a company called Cold Black Entertainment.
What'd they do?
So they did direct-to-consumer DVDs at the time. And then they also went into production. So I don't know if you remember Shaq's All-Star Comedy Jams. Okay, so it was like a series of comedy shows with some of the big comedians that you know today. So that would travel around. So I worked with them. You know, they were big Black Hollywood. They was really doing the most, with Black Hollywood at the time. Worked in beauty marketing as well as a brand marketer. Also did experiential marketing for companies. So we did experiential marketing tours where we routed tours all across the country. So I have a very diverse.
What's your nationality background? Because you have a glow about you. Like your body, like your face, your hair, like what nationality are you?
African American.
I know, but
I'm African American.
No way.
Yes. Listen, we Black.
You glow like
I'm
you're
Black.
Caribbean.
My mama Black.
You glow like you're Caribbean or something.
But listen, we come in all hues, baby. That's what makes it so beautiful.
Your hue glows. Now, who does your makeup? You? Because you definitely got a glow to
I did use a new foundation today.
Did?
Yes, it's YSL.
It looks so good. I love it.
Stepped up from MAC.
You're
I'm using YSL now.
I love it.
But,
so you got the marketing side.
Yeah, marketing side, the finance side.
Got it. So you're building a hell of a foundation.
Yeah, so that's kind of been the secret sauce that when people look at me and ever since I started creating my own brand, and them not really understanding or knowing that I know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and I've just been doing it at my own time and my own pace. Because for me, life is, I'm not in a rush. I'm just trying to create a lifestyle, a retirement for myself at this point.
You doing investing?
I'm not doing investing. So I will say this about in my background and just the way I grew up, we didn't really talk about money in my household. Okay. That's
all my dad talked about.
Yeah.
Ever.
So let me tell you, in Black families in particular, that is where the wealth difference comes in. Okay. My parents worked hard. They worked hard for pensions and 401ks, and that's what they knew, right? Now, my grandfather did some investings in CDs, that he kept for his lifetime, that matured and were huge, and have given the family some type of wealth. But no, it was every time I got a job, do they have health insurance? Do they have 401k? Mom, God dang. No, but look what I'm going to be doing, who I'm going to be working with.
Right.
The first, every time, to this day. They just can't let it go.
Right.
So that's what they know. So when we talked about working hard and I've always worked. Yeah. I've always worked.
You're a hustler.
But I think you can work smarter.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
but I know how to work hard. So there's nothing I'm ever going to have somebody do that I haven't done.
You have to.
And I'm never going to have somebody do something that I don't know how to do.
Oh, you know how to do, or you're willing not to do.
Or I'm willing not to do, and I may know how to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
But also in knowing that and having this skill set, when somebody's giving me a timeline or they're giving me, they're turning in their project or whatever. I can look at it and say, well, this shouldn't have taken this long.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I know what the steps and what it should have taken to do that. But anyway, so I moved to Charlotte. How did I end up in Charlotte, North Carolina? I never thought I'd leave LA. I loved LA.
You sound like, because even the other night when we were hanging out, you were like, LA girl.
LA. I mean, that's just that is who I am. That is my soul. But
everybody's moving the hell out of LA. It's so expensive.
Yeah, it's so expensive. Yeah. It was expensive when I lived there, but it's expensive now. You got to Charlotte,
you'd be like, damn.
Right.
I can get a 5,000 square foot.
I was like, they got free parking around here. I was like, look at all this park.
I'm gonna get 5,000 square foot house
like, it's so
for
clean.
half the money.
Yeah. So my parents, they retired and they moved out here in 2007.
Okay.
So I was coming out here to see them, and they built their dream home, and it was always so nice when I came out here. They would take me to it's cool little jazz places around the city.
And catch up on your drink there, girl.
And I was like, I like this here. Every time I came, it was just really relaxing. It was really easy. What I understood about it, because I grew up in Oakland, although I was an LA girl, I grew up in Oakland, so I really had a small town mentality.
Sure.
I never, there's in some ways I never really fit with LA, because I never lost myself and got caught up with the wrong crowd.
I'm not saying anything bad, but did you ever get around drugs? Like, the drugs really that bad in LA? Are they that bad?
No, I mean, I've experimented with things I always knew I would experiment things, and there's things that I knew I would never experiment with. Right?
So from the East Coast, I'm a Southern guy, and all you see is the movies and the TV.
Well, I think that when people come to LA without a direction, I came to LA because I had school.
UCLA.
I had
then
to go.
Then you got a job in the music. Then
yes.
you met networking.
I always had people I needed to be accountable for. To my friends that I went to school with that we encouraged one another. To my parents that paid for school. Out of their pocket. So
you
I had
to be
people.
respectful.
I had to be accountable.
And
that's just how I was raised. I was raised to.
So what led to the Cocktailery?
Yeah. So I came out here and I saw this place as first of all, Charlotte.
Okay.
I was like, Charlotte will be all right to move out there. I was like, they get the same magazines and same TV shows that everybody else gets. I was like, well, then I moved out here. I was like, well, maybe they don't, because like, what is going on here? Like, it's so
sticks, baby.
Yeah,
West Coast versus East Coast is a big difference.
And I also found it to be very separate, black and white. Black people go here, white people go here, and I was like, I was not used to this separatism,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's the South. Okay, I was like, I heard about this. I read about it.
Yeah, but you live in it now.
But I'm living it now. And I was like, this is different. And so I moved out here. I couldn't get a job. I hadn't worked in healthcare or finance. So when they looked at my resume, they're like, oh, yeah, you have great marketing experience. You have a great resume, but you haven't worked in healthcare. You haven't worked in finance. No, but what I did, marketing every day, the ins and out, it's the same no matter what kind of company or industry you're working in.
You had a little bit of a hard time getting a job.
I had a very hard time getting a job, which forced me to create my own way here. So, I had a marketing PR company. I always did marketing PR on the side because I had a lot of friends who were creatives in Los Angeles. They were talented and they had ideas, projects, events, products that they wanted to bring into fruition, but they had no know-how. So because I had that finance background, I also had marketing. I'm also a very friendly person. I had a lot of friends. I would, I started helping people, bring their ideas into fruition. And I love that. I love making that platform for other people. Okay, I've always been behind the scenes, and I was always very happy being behind the scenes, right? I'm very cerebral person. I'm an information seeker. I like to read. I like to learn everything I can. I'm not a really big partier, that kind of person, but I always had friends that partied. I don't have to be the hottest. I don't have to be the hottest girl in the spot, but I need to have hot friends. My friends can be hot. I don't got to be the hottest one in the scene.
I'll tell you a little quick side note of this. I was an orientation leader. Mm-hmm. You know what that is in college?
Yeah, when the people come and they take the tour.
Right. So I got all the moms, kids, everybody from high school. Mm-hmm. And I'd have
I did that at USC and UCLA. And I said USC is in the hood. I said, hell no.
So I went to summer school. And in college because I take my hard classes in summer because you go every day. But you got board, you got money, and you get to do orientation every weekend. You get a new shipment of people come in, and you stay in the dorm, you hang out, and you do all this stuff. And so I'd have all the dudes come over to me and they're like, bro, like, where are all the girls, man? Like, where you pick up all the girls? And I said, and then the parents would come over to me and be like, so how many classes should my son take, and how much money should I give him as spending money? And I mean, I get all the questions from every side, right? And then the dudes would be like, bro, like, what classes should I take, man? And I'm sitting there going, listen, I'm gonna give you 3 rules, and I'm gonna answer everybody's question. Number 1, give your kids $100 a week in spending money. And the parents are like, what? And I'm like, yes. The food is a cafeteria. And you want to take a girl out to dinner, and you want to have ice cream, and you want to have all the little extra shit. I'm like, really? $100? I'm like,
yeah,
yes.
I think my parents gave me $400 a week.
Yeah.
I mean, $400 a month.
Right, same thing.
You know, once I moved off of campus.
I told the parents, $100. Then I would turn around and say, all right, dudes.
I mean, I never made it.
Right, exactly. So I turned around and told the dudes, I was like, bro, you want all the girls? He goes, yeah. I was like, I want to meet all the girls. I was like, and I'm going to say this, and this is probably going to be, in the world we live in today, is probably the wrong thing to say. And I'm going to go ahead and say it because I was giving advice to 18-year-old kids. So understand that my mind was thinking 18, 19-year-old kids. So I was like, bro, you want to get in with all the hot chicks? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you don't need to be in a fraternity. You don't? I'm like, no. I was like, when you're in class, sit next to a chubby girl. And
Why should I be chubby?
Oh, no, the girl. No kidding. I'm not kidding. So I'm like, you got to sit next to the big girls, man. He goes, what? I was like, yeah, the bigger girls, you got to go be friends with them. I see you get in study groups and be their, like, best friend. He goes, what? I'm like, yeah. Because all the hot chicks in school in the dorms, like, they all live in the dorms, right? Anytime there's a problem, they ain't going to another hot chick to talk about their problems. They go on to go eat cookies and ice cream and pizza with the big girl, and they go cry on her shoulder. Oh, this guy, and then you gonna be the savior, the knight, and you gonna be like, my friend Johnny is really nice. You should meet him.
I don't suspect. No, that's way too sophisticated for an 18-year-old to put together.
It did work. It was funny. It was one of my jokes. You just went to a work about being the hottest chick, and I'm like, bro, if you want to be around the hottest chicks,
no, I was like, and then I got younger, and I was like, and now I just need, like, then it was like, okay, I just need, like, friends who are younger, so they can tell me what's happening in the streets, because I don't want to be in the streets.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like.
Got it.
But yeah, so,
Cool, love it.
But anyway, so I'm here in Charlotte now, jobless.
Yeah, hustling, doing whatever you can.
Right, hustling, doing whatever I can.
Meeting people, relationships.
No, absolutely, exactly. And that's another thing.
Relationships
meeting people.
are everything.
They are everything.
You got a network.
That's something I learned in Los Angeles, and that's something that I've always valued.
Yep.
Relationships, also, when to use for your relationships.
Yes.
Right? I've learned some valuable lessons, like don't squander your relationships. Right? So say you have a relationship that you want to utilize on the business side, and you want to save it for the appropriate time. You don't want to present something to somebody and then it's a bust.
Right.
And they're like, well, I thought I knew you better than that.
You got one shot.
You got one shot.
What was that, 50 Cent? No, it was Eminem.
Okay.
You got one shot.
One shot. Yeah, exactly. So I always kept my relationships in my back pocket, right?
Right.
So, moving to Charlotte, and also reputation matters too.
Absolutely.
Who
you are, what you stand for.
Who you are, what you stand for.
And who you hang out with.
And who you hang out with. Well, that was always very big in LA, who's the crew. But so I moved here, so it was about building relationships, but I understood that. I understood what reputation meant. Also growing up in Oakland, it's a small place, right? So, I never liked being in the center of controversy. I've always been able to stay out of controversy.
Right.
If I'm in controversy, it's because I'm bored and I wanted to start some controversy.
You just want to get in the middle of it.
I just want to get in the middle of it just because I'm just bored right now.
So when did you make your first cocktail and say, I want to do this?
Okay. So when I first started, by doing, my company was not called the Cocktailery.
Okay.
It was called Liberate Your Palate.
Liberate Your Palate.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have a slogan patented on that, or like what is it? Trademark?
Not liberate your palate. No.
Okay.
Everybody would come and try to steal it.
They all stole it.
Yeah, I would just and I couldn't do anything but just like, blast them on social media
So then
and
all of a
rant
sudden,
about it.
One day you said, I'm going to be the Cocktailery?
So, well, no. So the process, this is how it happened. Okay, this is the evolution of how I got to where I am. Okay, we've talked about my background, my skill set, and moving to Charlotte. So here I am with my skill set and shit and without shit else.
Flexing,
Right.
Let's go.
So Liberate Your Palate. I started something called the Liberate Your Palate Craft Cocktail Tour.
Got it.
So basically, people could get a passbook. The passbook costs $22. In the passbook, you could get a $5 craft cocktail at different restaurants around the city. They would, they had like 30 to 45 days to go through all of the different restaurants. How I put that together is my time working experiential marketing. And I used to do mobile marketing tours for a company like, Wells Fargo, Air New Zealand, Paramount Picture. So we used to route promotional tours for Fortune 500 and entertainment companies. So I just took that knowledge on how to reach out to potential participants, how to engage them, in an email. You have been selected to be a part of the Liberate Your Palate Craft Cocktail Tour. Put the book together. I didn't even have money at that time to even print the books. I couldn't even get the booklets printed that I had in mind until people started buying them. So as that money was coming in, I was using that money to finish putting the whole marketing campaign together, right? But I knew that it would work because, I was here, I was meeting people and I was going out and having drinks with them, and I'm drinking Tito's and vodka, Tito's and crayons and Moscow mules and out of red cups in these dive bars. And I knew that Charlotte at the time was growing. This is like 2000. I moved here in 2012, so this is about 2015. And Charlotte is starting to grow. And but people that lived here just like to go to the same places they always went over and over again. People at that time didn't like outsiders. They were like, oh, you're an outsider. You're never going to get in. Like, nobody's ever going to work with you because people work with their, who they know, who they're used to. Charlotte was very closed. It was very closed-minded at that time in terms of people that were moving to the city and bringing different perspectives, right? Could you agree?
I agree.
Okay. We're different now. It's different now.
It's changing.
Yeah.
Everything's evolving.
Absolutely.
People are learning how to work together now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And understanding that, how you create a great city, how you create an international city, like they like to call themselves, is by having an international community.
What did it?
What?
Social media.
Yeah. Oh, when I moved here, people didn't even there was nobody to follow on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Nobody. It was crazy.
But social media helped.
Yeah.
Because people started following and liking other people.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, it's like, I like you.
Way.
Oh, no, I like her. And then you see who you like, and you're like, oh, shit, you liking her shit too? Okay, cool. I like her too. So next thing you know, everybody's like, start liking everybody. And they start to be like, hey, did you see what's her name? She
people
posted.
Was not even
people
on
start
Instagram
talking, small
at the
talking.
time.
They're just like, hey, did you see her post that?
But my company, so Liberate Your Palate, so I started the tour. It was successful.
Right.
Once I got a couple of restaurants on, all the other restaurants signed up. The tour itself was actually, they really had to go against like the ABC commission because basically what we were doing was offering a happy hour cocktail for $5.
Right.
And North Carolina doesn't have happy hour. So I had, so we kind of had to go around that, but it was really a testament to how good that marketing promotion was that I had so many restaurants that would buy into that. So people started doing the tour. They would go to the restaurants. At this time, social media is starting to pick up. They take a picture of their cocktail they got for $5 along with the booklet,
and the book.
And the book.
Yeah,
Started taking off. I did Facebook marketing only for this. So I only did Facebook marketing to market this tour. It did really well. So I did it 2 times here in Charlotte, and then I expanded to Charleston. I was going to do Charleston and Asheville. Asheville, at the time, they wasn't checking for it. I've never done it in Asheville. It's cool.
That's a beer scene.
Yeah, right. But
you do that with breweries, they might do it.
The cocktail tour was really just I I won't say I did it because I'm not a beer person. I don't like breweries.
I'm not a beer
and I'm
guy.
not into the beer culture.
Me either.
I'm into the cocktail culture.
Me too.
I've always been into the cocktail culture, cocktail and dining, right? So I wanted to create something for people who like that. I'm not about beer. I've never,
Beer is broke people.
I did not say that. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Hey man, can
No,
I
I
get
wouldn't
that?
say. I said I didn't say
Bud
broke.
Light, man.
I didn't say. No, I said basic.
But I'm right.
Right.
You know what we want to do at the cocktail?
But I gave them people I gave them cocktail prices I gave them cocktails at beer prices.
Yeah, you did.
And that's why they liked it. And so then I expanded
absolutely.
to Charleston. So I did it in Charleston,
Yep.
and it was a whole thing. So let's talk about how it's so separate and for me,
You don't do that booklet anymore.
I don't do the booklet anymore, but I'm gonna do a special tour actually for it. Just
Cool.
yeah, it's gonna be really cool because it's a lot of fun and it works. Restaurants love it, consumers love it.
It's almost like St. Patrick's Day where you buy the green shirt.
Yeah,
and go to
but
the
it's
bar
classy.
calls.
What I called it was a what did I call it again? Scavenger hunt for the
Yeah.
craft cocktail
Let's do it.
enthusiast.
Let's do it for like 10 of them and just make a big party out of it.
Yeah.
That instead of doing the
but I
beer
did-
crawl
yeah.
on St. Patrick's
But
Day.
no, it's not. But the thing is this, cocktails are not about getting smashed.
That's true.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's about being,
Yeah,
it's
social.
about
So
social
hanging out.
and hanging out. And
I just had a very diverse
and-
drink. I have Dash Fire,
Vintage orange
vintage
bitters.
orange bitters. I have.
the Demerara syrup. You can't even pronounce
I
it.
can't even pronounce it. Really, it sounds like a weird name. I can't even pronounce it. I can't. My dyslexia is killing me.
We got the filthy cherries and the
cherries
and the black walnut bitters.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
so it should be, cocktails
Yeah.
I think should make you smile when you sip them.
I'm totally smiling.
Right?
I'm
So I
pissed
did
off I
the
don't
tour.
have the
Yeah.
second one.
Well, no, you're making the
I'm
second
making
one,
the next
babe.
one in a minute, baby. So, all right. So you've got this booklet. You've done this.
Uh-huh.
And
So
then,
what happened was I got immersed into the cocktail industry. I didn't know anything about cocktails. I didn't know how to make cocktails. I just had a good palate. Yeah, I love food. I love to cook. Food is my passion, right?
Food is your passion.
Yeah, I know it's hard for people to accept that because all they want to tie me to is cocktails.
So what's
But
your
this is
favorite
my
food?
business.
What's your favorite food?
Ooh, child.
If I was coming over for a date and you wanted to impress me,
Ooh, child. It depended on who you were. Because
I'm somebody.
I'm just saying because I would just judge it based on you because I could cook anything for anybody. So
Well, I'm a country boy.
But I'll tell you what I cooked last night. Let's
All
talk
right.
about what I cooked
What
last
did you
night.
cook
I did a
last
little Asian fusion thing.
Yeah.
So I did Korean fried chicken.
Yeah.
And what makes Korean fried chicken?
I have no idea.
Let me tell you, it is the crust that you get on the chicken, and it's not like most fried chicken. You just put it in, flour, fry it. But with this, I marinated it in fresh ginger and salt and pepper, marinated a little bit, and then I did a wet batter
Okay.
with flour, baking soda, cornstarch, and water. So it's going to give you that super crispy skin, and then I double fried it. And then I put a soy honey glaze on it.
I'm getting hungry.
Okay, yeah. And then with that, I had I did just like Asian cabbage salad. So it was like shredded cabbage with carrots, some peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers.
Damn it, girl.
And
Who'd
mushrooms.
you cook for, yourself?
Yeah, listen.
Just you?
Yes.
Damn.
And then I had but the dressing on it though had miso. Red miso paste. We had some vinegar in there. We had lime. We had some chili, like everybody loves that chili, those chili oil flakes.
I'm not
crunch.
everybody.
Chili oil crunch flakes in there. Fresh
Sounds
ginger.
delicious.
It was delicious.
You need to have somebody you making that for.
I know. Listen.
Why? Hey, you got my
They
number?
are missing out.
Hey, text me.
They,
I'll come
they
over.
don't even know.
If you want me to taste it for you, I'll taste it for you. Be like, hey, yeah.
Listen, that's the thing. So how do we get to the Cocktailery?
Yeah, how?
Because I love to cook for people. I love to entertain people.
Right.
I love to sit around and have a great time.
Right.
I'm not a clubber. I don't like going to clubs. I don't like big crowds.
Your location is prime.
Yeah.
Like you have a really good location. It's got in a unique area, South End. It's a booming area. How'd you find that place?
I knew that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in South End.
Okay.
period.
How
Did
you
I
find
think
that
I was
because it's
going
kind
to-
of weird. It's inside of
It's
like
inside.
a old meal. It's really cool though.
So so how did I find that? Well, we're not even there
Oh,
yet.
okay, yeah, retract. Go back there.
So I
Lead
took
me.
it. So I was still doing the Burke palette. I did the tours. They were great. And I took a Hendrick's Gin cocktail class because now I'm immersed in the cocktail industry and the hospitality industry. I have friends who are bartenders. I know brand reps and stuff. So they invited me to a Hendrick's Gin cocktail class. I hated gin. All I knew about it was gin and juice, right? That's it. Gin. Everything I knew about gin, I knew from high school. That sounds like,
absolutely.
Right. So, and that just kind of changed my perspective on what gin was, how you layer flavors in cocktails. I said, this is so cool. We had bar stations. They had a TV set up, a screen set up, and they were showing us the distillation process. And I said, if I like this, then the people who are doing the tour would like this too.
Right.
Because I'm them. I'm somebody who likes, dinner and cocktails. And so I'm this person, I'm this at-home enthusiast. I'm just this, food enthusiast, this drink enthusiast. But that's all I know. Do I know how to make a cocktail? No. Do I know the difference between cognac and whiskey? No. I said it.
It's all right. No problem.
So I said, I'm going to do this for the people. But I didn't know how to make any cocktails. So there was this girl that was on Instagram, and I'm not going to mention her profile or anything.
It's okay.
She's gone. It don't matter.
Yeah.
But,
It's all good.
I ain't going to hate on her.
She inspired you.
She didn't inspire me. But what I did was I said, she has a lot of, my marketing mind, she has a lot of followers. I know how to create a platform to make people.
Yeah. You were putting some puzzles together.
I was putting some puzzles together,
yeah,
right? I was
pieces.
doing what I do best.
You were networking and putting pieces
Right.
in your head. You were mapping out the whole map right there.
Yeah.
Going,
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So I had her come and teach the classes, and I did everything. I purchased all the equipment. I found our locations. I did the marketing.
Right.
I did everything, but I couldn't make cocktails. So she would come. She would do the classes. A lot of times, you put people on platforms and they think that they can't do it without you, right? They think it's theirs. And it's like, I could put because for me, it's marketing. I could slide anybody into this position.
Right. Yes, you can.
You can always be replaced. That's another lesson I learned in life. Being fired. Like,
Me? Yeah, exactly.
Me.
Right.
Yeah, you can always be replaced. And I think that's a lesson that everybody pretty much learns at some time in life. In relation, love relationships and, friendships, work, business, you can be replaced.
You can.
Okay. So eventually I replaced her with myself. And I started doing the cocktail classes because I was like, because at the end of the day, the last thing that needs to happen in this puzzle is the 2 hours of teaching the class. Because I'm bringing everything in. I'm getting all the people in. I'm setting everything up. I'm cleaning everything. I'm bringing it home. I'm washing it. And I'm doing everything. I'm going to learn how to make, because that's less money I have to pay out.
What year was that?
This was 2000, the end of 2017 is when I started doing the cocktail classes.
Got it.
And I had other bartenders around the city that would do classes, but for the most part, she was the main person. And so I started doing the classes. I never looked back. So I did the classes. I also did a little bit of cocktail catering. So I did some in-home like bartending situations like you had with Bob. They was in Bob caliber cocktails, but
Got it.
I was back behind that bar.
Love it.
Slinging the drinks.
Love it.
And so I did that. And so, that's what it was. I was very happy. I didn't have to work every day. I had a part-time job for part of the time working with AAA Carolinas in internal communications. I got the skill set to always get a job.
Love it.
So, I had that coming in, and then here and there I would do the cocktail classes. What I did say, and this is what I said I was going to do, is whatever you want to do, just make it consistent. I started with doing one cocktail class a month. So people could always expect that there will be one cocktail class a month. Regardless of where it was, sometimes I would have a residency at a restaurant, co-working spot, wherever. But I had one public cocktail class a month because I knew I could commit to that. And then I would do in-home classes for people. And then we went into, so that went on for years. I was chilling like a villain, not a care in the world, until the pandemic hit. And then, everything shut down. I couldn't do any in-person classes. The Cocktailery, I knew I had this vision for having my own space because it was really taxing physically, bringing everything, taking everything and doing it off-site, which is why we do not do off-site cocktail classes any longer at the Cocktailery.
Love it.
We do whiskey tastings. We do in-home whiskey tastings and we do in-home wine tastings, but we do not do in-home cocktail classes.
Love it.
Come see us in Athertonville.
Yes.
So we went into the pandemic happened and everything shut down. So here I am again. I've never been a big saver. So I was like, shit, I don't have any money coming in. What am I going to do? Asked my dad for a loan to get through the month. Called a friend and asked him for a loan. And I took those monies. And the first thing I did was make syrups, and I was selling syrups. I would make the syrups and take them to people's houses, ring the doorbell, drop them off, and go home, right? And I didn't like the profit margin in terms of everything I had to do. I said, this ain't it. I said, this ain't it. This ain't the move for the kid.
You're working way too hard for peanuts.
Yeah, I was like, this. Driving around, I did like 30 to 40 stops in one day. I said, oh, hell no. I said, I'm too grown for this.
Yeah, too grown. I love it, grown.
So I had a friend in LA. She's a friend I grew up with actually in Oakland. And she's a producer in Los Angeles. She produces reality shows and so she's really into content and creating content. And she was like, you need to be on like Instagram, like doing videos and this and that. And I'm like, I said, because I'm so used to getting paid for doing these cocktail classes, just because I'm bored, sitting on Instagram, giving away free content is not something I'm going to do. And so she kept on encouraging me, and I was like, no. In my mind, it was no until I could figure out how to monetize it. So a friend happened to call me and say, she's here in Charlotte, say, hey, are you doing like virtual classes? And I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, yeah, actually I am. I sure am. I am.
Yeah, you damn right I am.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You haven't seen them?
Right.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, how am I monetizing this? And I had all this equipment that I had for over the years.
Right.
Because for me, the great thing about the classes is they're hands-on. Because now you get to learn how to use all the things and shake and do all the stuff. Mm-hmm. So that stuff was, it's pretty inexpensive to buy. So at this point, I can give it away. We're in a pandemic. I don't know when I'm ever going to use this again, if I'm ever going to need this stuff again. So I can give this away. So I was like, sure. So what I did was, it was her and her boyfriend. I went and I dropped off equipment for her. Okay. And made these little kits, rang the doorbell.
What's a kit?
A kit had the syrups, the alcohol.
Okay. It was like a pre-made kit.
Yeah,
Go
a pre-made
home,
cocktail kit.
Got it.
I dropped off a cocktail kit with all the tools. Just like if you came, I wanted them to have everything that they would have in the in-person experience.
They can make it themselves. Got it.
And we're going to do it on Zoom. Okay, so then I dropped it off earlier in the day, went home and set up the Zoom. First, I was just doing Zoom off the laptop. 2 people. Started off with 2 people, mind you, a friend and her boyfriend. And we did a class on Zoom. I was looking for ways, what kind of online streaming platform can I monetize this on? Okay. But I just sent her an invoice and, invoice was paid. And so I turned on the camera and said, okay, let's go. Right. And I liked Zoom. I had to find the platform that worked because I wanted people to be able to see, how is the functionality going to work or whatever.
Right.
So that grew into eventually, another person called me. I did a class for them. But always I'm posting on Instagram like, this is what the experience is. But I'm still doing too much work because I'm driving to people's houses and dropping off. But it's fine because I'm still getting paid, but I'm also being able to do content. Then people they're getting it because there's other kind of things happening on Zoom. So their friends and family are involved. And now people are logging, in from different places. Now it's just not Charlotte. And then they're like, do you do this for corporations? Do you do this for like companies and stuff? My company would love this. Yes, I sure do.
Of course you do.
So, because I've done corporate, in-person cocktail classes. So of course I can do Zoom. So then I started doing, corporate, classes. What I found was at this time, because now I'm doing them all over, what I saw was that they didn't want to be liable for their employees going out and getting ingredients and possibly getting sick, at the grocery store or whatever. They wanted all the things delivered to them. So I was able to find a solution to have all of these kits sent to everybody, have cocktail bar tools sent to them. Once I made enough money, I was able to buy a bunch of bar tools from China. I had them sent to a fulfillment warehouse. I would just send them the address and they would send them out. I had a cocktail kitting company. I had the cocktails they would choose from. And there was nobody else really on the internet at the time that was doing that. So 2020, I really, just put me on another stratosphere. But that just came from my back. It wasn't by chance. It was having a skill set and putting that into practice, right? I knew how to work Excel spreadsheets. I knew how to communicate, respond and correspond and liaise with, companies because I worked in corporate. So I knew what they expected and I knew what that type of dialogue needed to be. I knew, it's really just about being responsive, being on time. And just, it was a lot of work. And sometimes I'd be bitter. I would see people at home binge watching TV shows, and I was like, just a little envious that I never really had a break. Right. So that's what I did all of 2020 and 2021. Then, other people started catching up. They started catching up to this virtual cocktail class world. But I'm already established now. I'm Googly indexing number one on Google for virtual cocktail classes.
Love it.
Mind you, this is literally me doing all of this. I eventually, at the end of 2020, was able to hire somebody to help me with like the admin, responding to emails, got her on in terms of doing the virtual cocktail classes, which is great because now we don't have any overhead. She's doing virtual cocktail classes at her house. I'm doing it at my house. It was all about having a backdrop. When people log in, because they're paying a lot of money, that you have to give them something great to look at. We have to have the right production, lighting, camera, mics.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, all of those things, right? So and that was still low cost to do all that. When we were coming out of the pandemic, what I knew was I wasn't going back to doing the in-person classes. And that is when I decided that I was going to do the Cocktailery. Doing the in-person classes before the pandemic, people would come to class, they'd learn how to use all this stuff, and then they would go to Amazon and buy it. It was a big missed opportunity in terms of a revenue stream where they've already come to the class, they see me as a resource, I should have a 360 experience for them, right? I've already built that relationship with you. So I want to create a 360 experience. And that's where the Cocktailery is born out of. So basically what I did was, first I had a business plan. I was going to get investors and try to get a bank loan. I didn't know what I was going to do. But then at the end of the day, I sat down and I looked at my bank account and I said, well, you could just bet on yourself one more time. Because you have the skill set to do something else if it doesn't work, right? And
so you went all in. You put your chips on the table.
I put my chips on the table.
Yep.
And this is where I am now.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I've always been fearless. I won't say that I came from a background that encouraged me to be fearless. It's just who I am as a person.
If you were a person trying to start a business today, what advice do you give them?
Do it in some form or fashion. Just to do it. Don't wait for it to be perfect.
I'm going to give you a little insight on what I tell other window tinting companies.
Okay. So you do give them advice? Well, you're able to now.
Well, I'm a coach.
Okay.
So I get paid as a consultant for a manufacturer, and I also get paid to do consulting for other businesses. So I'm a business coach, and I'm a marketing major.
My new business coach.
Will help you, no problem. And it's just 30 years of experience of being around all different types of diversity and owning your business and hiring employees. And I've scaled my business and things like that. So when business owners own a business with 1 to 3 employees for 10 years and have never seen growth, I can come in and light a fire under them. And it's only by personal experience am I able to light that fire. You have to hire someone to exit your business. You're hiring someone to replace you. And you have to learn to not be as involved and trust that your processes are in place.
Right.
So what happens is, a lot of guys call me for advice and they're like, Mike, how did you get your second store? How did you get your third store? And I go, bro, I could open up 1,000 stores because I'm always wearing a parachute. And they go, a parachute? And I said, yeah, man, I have a parachute on my back. I can pull anytime I want to pull it. And they go, what do you mean? I go, I can tint windows. I can answer the phone. I can run the plotter. I can do the bills. I can do everything. And I can run one store, by myself with no help and pay all of my bills and have no worries and no problems. So why do I not replace myself with someone else, pay them half of what, or 3/4 of what I was making at that store working, and go duplicate that process and let me go do exactly what I did in this first store and go work in the second store by myself. The other store is running. I have a person answering the phone. I have a tinter, and I have the store cash flowing, profitable, paying me about 40% of what I was making. But I'm making a sacrifice financially to go and take seed money from the first store to seed the second store. So I take a loan out and I do a second LLC, and I take a loan from the first business. So the profit is no longer profit, it's now a loan.
Right. Oh.
So I loan my second business the money, so the first business no longer has profit. It's now a loan. So that loan to the second business, and I go work there for 6-8 months to a year by myself, and I train or get someone trained to do that. And then within a year, I now have 2 locations now managing, and I'm making about 40% off this one, but then I hired a guy that I trained, and I'm now making 50%. So now I'm making 90% of what I used to make, income being the sole person that did the labor. So now I'm no longer doing labor at all. Now I'm marketing. Now all I do is sell and talk on the phone to direct traffic to the first store and the second store. So now I've backed away.
Right.
But if the first store gets real busy, I'll go in and help. Second store gets busy, I travel over there and I help. So I just basically become a ping pong. And
that's what I see. Like I for me,
Yeah.
I see for the second location, I see that I can open 2 locations.
Yep.
I can handle that, but
It's manageable.
It's manageable.
2 is manageable.
2 is manageable. I cannot, like at that point, that's where I'm looking at
All right.
other.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Yes.
Easy. Once you get past the first 2.
I'm sweating.
Because
I'm sweating.
You know why? Because that parachute just became a little bigger.
Yeah.
Because now your income's coming from 2 places, not just one. You diversified enough.
Right.
And if you get hurt, so I always said to myself, if I got hurt and I'm sitting at home and I can't work, how do I have income coming?
That's what happened. I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
At the end of 2019.
Yep.
I broke my ankle in October of 2019. Yep. So that was 6 weeks. I couldn't be on my feet. I did some things because I had some people that helped me out. I was able to sell classes that were coming up. But what I learned was, if I am not physically able to run this company, there is no company.
Exactly.
So that's when my mindset shifted.
That's when the ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. I need to learn how to have people run my company for me.
Right.
Even if I make a little less money, at least I still got money coming in, right?
Exactly.
Well, your story is absolutely amazing, And I'm going to make
you.
a freaking
Yes,
awesome.
okay, it's time. We're
my
ready, we're
turn.
ready, we're ready.
It's my turn. I'm going to make a drink. So I'm putting ice in first.
You can't use any of my
I ain't
shit.
using your shit, girl.
You can
All
use
right.
you brought
Hey,
this
hold on.
and this.
Hold on. Hey, can you hear this? Hold on. I'm going to do this for the mic. Hold on. Ooh, that sounds good. I love that. That's sexy. That sound is just so sexy. Boom. All right, so I am going to take Basil Hayden dark rye.
Okay. Yes.
And I am going to pour 2 ounces
Okay.
into mine.
4, because you're doing 2
No,
cocktails.
I'm going to make 1 at a time.
Just one?
Just double it.
Oh, you want one?
Make 3.
Yeah.
Why am I making 3?
Because
There's 3
of us.
people here
Yeah.
to drink them.
You're going to confuse me now. Hold
I
on.
know you're much less scientific about
hold
this
on.
than
Just
Tamu.
just do the same. Just
No.
duplicate it 3 times.
All right, 1. Jesus, you guys are killing
It's
me.
all good. No, it's cool.
All
It's
right.
cool. Listen, I'm here to encourage you.
Okay.
I am your cocktail
Help me,
instructor.
baby. Help me.
Okay.
All right, so there we
this
go.
This is what I do.
All right, I got that.
Baby.
Okay.
Don't
now-
worry.
Now I've got my simple syrup. Okay. I use
Okay.
the regular simple syrup, which is like your vanilla flavored.
It ain't no vanilla
No,
flavor.
but it's clear.
He got it from Harris Teeter. It's okay. It's
He uses
okay.
vanilla as a synonym for
Clear.
boring and plain.
Boring. Yeah. It's
Oh, vanilla. Okay,
it ain't
right.
spicy. It's vanilla, baby. in the adult world, vanilla.
Okay.
All right. So is this a half?
That's an ounce. That's a full ounce.
All right. So that's.
So you're
what I
doing
want.
3. Oh, it's brand new.
There we go.
Okay.
Gotta get the plastic out. All right, so got mine. So I've got to do 1 ounce. So I do a half ounce.
Right. So you're going to
So
do 1.5 ounces.
1, and I'm gonna do about a quarter because
Okay.
mine's like yours. I
Okay,
don't
a
wanna
little
make
bit,
it.
okay.
I don't want to do it as a sweet, right?
Yeah. Mine, for me, was a tinge, a little bit too sweet.
Got it.
It was good.
It was very good.
But it was a little, this was
Got it.
difficult to work with.
Got it. It was very good.
It was good.
I did like it.
It was
All
easy to drink.
So I do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Per, okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4 dashes of Angostura
1, 2,
bitter.
3, 4 per drink. Yes.
Per 2 ounces.
Yes.
4 dashes of Angostura
Yes.
bitter per
Yes.
2 ounces.
Yes.
Okay. And we
Yes.
need some, okay. So we're
Now I've got my stirrer.
good. Okay. Okay. Oh, look at him.
Are you counting?
Yes. He's quite the controller over here. Okay, he did 19 spins. Okay. It was smooth.
Smooth. Okay. All right. So now I need.
We need,
my
Audrey,
ice,
we need your glass.
And I'm gonna do the ice cube here.
Okay, here's your orange. Uh-oh.
Oops, that'll be mine. And then they're a little slippery because they're a little on the wet side.
Okay. So yours, Audrey's, mine. That's how the
Got it.
glasses go.
I'm gonna have to touch these, baby, because they're
That's fine.
They're very,
Yeah,
very
I was.
slippery.
Yeah.
Very.
Look at
like,
them.
super
Look at them
watery.
paws all over my ice, y'all.
Girl, you're fine. Baby. You good?
That's nice.
All right, so we have the strainer
Okay,
here, and we are going to equally pour the drink.
That mixing glass is so small in your hands right now.
Isn't it?
you're like the Incredible Hulk right now.
Oh, shut your mouth.
Okay.
All right, hold on.
Pour some of that. Yeah. There we go. All right. Okay.
All right, I think
Okay.
I'm about equal now.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right, so we're over here. I am going to take, like you, and do my orange.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
It's a little precarious looking right there.
So-
Now, okay.
I do this.
Now, how about if I say
Hold on.
you should turn it the other way?
Okay.
So the oils from the
Okay.
peel.
Okay.
It's because what you're doing
Let me-
basically,
let me-
let me just tell you,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I told you I speak for people that can't defend themselves,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to defend my
Okay.
old fashioned.
Okay.
So the oils are going to be on the peel side,
Okay.
and that's why you want to squeeze it so those oils then You want to the oils are in the peel.
Really?
So you want to squeeze first.
Okay.
See how you saw those oils?
Yeah.
Now you can see those oils on the peel side.
Okay.
This side is bitter. The white part is the pith, and the pith is going to be bitter. So we want to avoid the pith at all costs. Okay. So
I'm making my damn drink.
I know you are. I'm just trying to listen. Like, you know how you help other tinters out there?
Hey.
I'm just trying to help you out.
You coach me after I'm done.
I know this is about to go in the wrong direction now.
Hey, I'm gonna do my thing.
There we go.
I'm gonna tell you I do my thing. So what I do is I do that first.
Yes, I like that.
And then I don't do that normally. I'll do that for you. But
Okay.
I throw it in there.
Okay.
So normally what I do is I just rim.
Gosh.
I do what's called a rim job. I rim
Yeah.
it.
Other way.
You just made that up right now, right?
What, rim job?
The rim job.
No, you know what that is. I'm just playing.
As pertains to cocktails.
No,
Right.
no, it's when you take a car and you curb it.
Oh.
When you take your rim, like, and you go through.
I don't
You know what a rim
know.
job is? Like when you go through the drive-through and you got the concrete.
I know what a rim job is. Like a rim job
So
to me
I'm
is
over
like,
there- I'm
you know,
over there.
I like to rim my glass
So
with like, you know,
literally, I
like
see cars that are curbed.
tasty, like, you know,
And I'm gonna say this.
accoutrement.
And I'm gonna say this in a negative way.
Accoutrement,
And I'm gonna say this.
mouse.
I'm gonna say this in a negative way. Women curb wheels. They're car wheels. Like they go through anything and everything, and you go see their wheels, and they are scratched to hell.
Okay, well,
So
don't
I
look at my
don't
car
use
out there.
that. Sorry.
Oh, you
I
don't?
No.
Oh, you just, okay.
So I put a little juice on mine. So I put,
Yes, I like that.
So I put.
I'm with that.
3 drops of juice.
I'm with that.
1, 2,
Just only 3. Okay. I
3
like
drops
that.
of juice.
It's very precise.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Got my
All
3
right.
drops of juice, and everyone gets a cherry.
Okay.
Oops, that's a little more juice than I wanted to put in there.
That's yours though, so
That's mine, so I'm good.
this one is mine. So this is
Yeah.
the one you want to be.
That is the money drink right there. Okay.
I like the way it looks. I like the way this looks.
All right, you want yours over there, young lady? Come get it.
I like the way
I'd
this
like
looks.
to get a little bit of a a rating over here. I know mine's probably not near as good as
No,
this
it
fancy
is.
one, but
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
it's delish.
And good
Everybody,
looks.
cheers! Cheers to a great
Cheers.
podcast.
Yes.
Learning more about the marketing entrepreneur here, Tamu, and the Cocktailery, and maybe we'll be future investors in the Dallas store. We don't know yet, but I like the business. Pretty cool. It's very cool.
That's solid.
Is it solid?
That's solid.
It's a hair bit on the sweet side.
It's a
maybe?
hair bit. Why is everything a little bit on the sweet side? Like it's solid. But you know what though? Also the whiskey matters. But
Yep.
it was your first time. Maybe it was your first time making 3 at one time.
It is.
Yeah. And mine, like,
I've
you
not
know,
made 3
that
at
was
one
my
time.
first
I'm
time
normally
using this
measuring
whiskey. Yeah.
one at a time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
But that's okay though.
it
It's
smooth?
good. It's smooth. It's very nice.
Good.
I like it.
Lovely. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else to say? Anything the audience want to hear? We're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, so let's see here.
Future stores are coming. Looking for investors.
Future stores are coming. We're looking for investors. I think that you should take a look at us on Instagram.
Yes.
At
And
the
say
at
that-
the Instagram, that really tells a story about who we are.
many
And you
followers
can
you
find us at thecocktailery.com.
Cocktailery.com.
Mm-hmm.
Cocktailery is the Instagram, just Cocktailery.
At the Cocktailery.
At the Cocktailery.
Yes.
Got it.
And we have about 10,000,
Yeah.
a little bit over 10,000 followers.
Amazing.
The website, we also do e-commerce.
E-commerce.
So everything that we carry in store,
Okay.
you can also buy that online. So we do e-commerce. You can, book if you're into the Charlotte area. You
Right.
can book our in-person classes.
Love it.
We do not travel outside. I'm very clear. What I did have learned in business though is that there's 2 kind of ways to look at your business. You can either let your customer define what your business is, or you create the business and they just got to get with it.
So
right?
yeah, the customer's coming to your business.
The
You
customer,
created it.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
sometimes
it's your experience.
a lot of times I feel like when you have to acquiesce, a lot of times the customer request,
Yeah.
it sets you up for failure because your business doesn't run that way, and you're always trying to meet that demand, and therefore it puts you in a bad situation where you're not going to do the best you can do because that's not how your business is structured.
You blew my mind. You don't have to share this information because we're friends, but for an investor, your first year in business, I'm going to give a range. You grossed between X and X.
I grossed over $500,000
in your first year
at the Cocktailery. Yes.
And I'm just going to tell you right now, baby, you badass. That's badass. That's badass.
Yeah.
I don't care what business you created, how many employees, who you are. When you do $500,000, that's the next is $1 million.
Right.
Once you hit that $1 million.
And mind you, this is all from one person.
Yep.
One financial person, responsible person, from one person making decisions.
Right.
I'd never been in retail before, learning a new business as I've gone along.
So everything you've learned in the last couple of years, now when you're ready to go to the second, are you going to start franchising these things?
The issue with franchising is you have to look at different liquor laws in every state. So that's going to affect how that
if you do
franchise.
This more as a hobby, fun, how do you get away for serving alcohol at your Cocktailery?
How do I get away? Food.
It's food.
It's food. And I love to travel.
But I'm just saying, the ABC board and the liquor license, you don't need a liquor license.
Yeah.
You do. You don't. Yeah, that's great. It's food. You're serving food.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. So I don't serve food at the Cocktailery. Right. So when we have food coming in, we have vendors bring food in. So we're not making food at the Cocktailery.
Right. You're just showing
we're doing
people
wine.
How to make
we do wine classes. We show people how to use the equipment and use the things that we have in in the store.
It's a great business. It's amazing.
It is great. And I love the fact that when
Audrey,
people come in.
You want to say?
Yeah. And Audrey here. So let's talk about Audrey and I's backgrounds.
Oh.
So Audrey, we met.
The first time I met you was a Liberate Your Palate class.
Where was the class that you guys took? Maybe you know.
Passionate, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Did you guys take the class that was downstairs or upstairs?
Downstairs.
No, you weren't there. This was the one that I took before you came.
Oh, the one I got mad at you.
No.
Okay.
It was upstairs. It was the Negroni class.
Yeah, that was my class.
Yes,
I just didn't teach it.
I feel like you taught it, but
no, I didn't. I didn't teach it.
Ago.
No. I actually have a picture of it on my phone. If you want to bring my phone,
it's all good.
I believe you.
No, but yeah, I didn't teach that.
Ago.
Yeah,
but I remember you being there. We signed up at the last minute. I went with my friend Vicky. I got her to sign up so that I didn't have to go by myself. And we had we did the Negroni and Vicky, it's funny because she hates bitter anything and she hates Campari and she's like, why do you want me to go to a Negroni class? And I said, just come with me. And it was the last minute. And I think there was I don't know, I had to email for some reason to make sure that we could actually get in. Mm-hmm. But it was cool.
Yeah, and it was a full class.
That was at the very beginning of my cocktail thing because I never drank anything.
And see, that's why I don't remember you guys, is because I didn't teach that class. Okay. So that was before I was teaching classes.
At that one.
No.
Oh,
what class
no.
Did I go to that?
You went to the one that was uptown, and I can't remember.
It was in an apartment building
downstairs
in a corner.
Yeah, it was on a corner. It was a restaurant that was in a tower because all of them are uptown. But the reason was because Mike and I were having a little conversation one day in the car.
A conversation.
Just some conversation, and it was like a completely unmemorable conversation, but I mentioned something about a Negroni. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that I never drank anything. I didn't know anything about alcohol.
I didn't drink alcohol for 10 years.
Anything. And he's Mr. I know everything about everything. So I said something about a Negroni, and he got all mad. And he's like, what's a Negroni? And I told him, and apparently I said it too flippantly, and he got all mad at me like I was expecting him to know what a Negroni was, and he didn't know. So he was all mad. So I said, you know what? This is becoming a problem, so we're just going to have to learn about cocktails together.
Okay.
And I signed us both up for another one of your classes uptown.
So did you guys have a good time at the classes?
We did. We had a great time. We learned how to make some kind of espresso Manhattan.
Okay. That was at the, so that class was at Huga. Was it? It was not at a bar.
It might have been a restaurant or something.
It wasn't a bar, it was a restaurant. That doesn't ring a bell. But wherever it was,
it was downtown.
And that class literally got Mike on board with my whole cocktail thing. So you are responsible.
Yeah, and that's all we want. And the whole thing is, like I said before, we really just want to inspire people.
And have you seen my bar? I mean, shit.
She was at my birthday
I mean, were
party.
you
No
were you
shit.
drinking like that?
She's
So
hot.
you weren't drinking like that before you came to.
No.
to-
All right, when I met her-
him, he didn't drink anything.
Anything.
Wow.
Zero.
He didn't
No
drink at all.
beers.
So you
no
got
alcohol.
inspired first by coming to our first class. You
Yeah.
brought
I drank
him,
nothing.
then you got inspired because
Zero.
now
I drank zero.
their bar is.
I went to the gym. I worked out and I drank water.
And he talked about the old days when he used to drink a fifth of Crown playing golf. That's
Yeah.
it. Like he didn't drink
I didn't
at
like
all.
the way it made me feel because
And
the
the
problem
only
is I hung out with people
mixed
that
drinks
drank.
You
Drink.
weren't like I said. It's not about getting trash or
Right,
getting. You know, it's about.
I was drinking around guys
But
that
the
were
only
getting
mixed
trashed.
drinks
Yeah.
he knew was his college age pink
Crown
panty
and Coke,
pull
baby.
downs,
That's what I drank.
Crown and Coke, and that's it.
That was it. That's all I drank was Crown and
So-
Coke.
Okay, so
Forever.
we're not going to end this until I find the photo.
Every once in a while I'd have a margarita, but it's all good. Or Long Island iced tea. I like those. Those are good.
I did go
here
to
we
another
go,
one of
here we
your
go,
classes
here we
when
go.
you had that space on Monroe
I
Road.
found it. Here we go.
Oh boy, what was the name of the place?
This is the Passionate class.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can find you guys in the class. Oh,
I Instagrammed that one. There was some like. stuffed
there's Audrey right
zucchini
here. There
flowers
she
and they
go.
were
There she
amazing.
is.
Yep.
That's her.
Yep.
But I want you to see. Look how big the class was. Like I've been killing it. Like
Yeah, you're
since
killing it.
since
Killing
2000,
it.
since 2017, baby.
Killing it,
Is that
baby.
when it was? 2017.
That's awesome.
Yep,
17.
August 24th, 2017.
Tamu,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much for coming on the air.
Thank you so much for having
Thanks
me.
for
This is
making me
fun.
a fantastic drink. We're going to give you the links to this so you can share the podcast.
Okay.
And it's videoed, so it's all live. So if people want to see it, peace out. What's up? This is YouTube. So we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and Spotify. So if you'd like to share the link, yeah, she's gorgeous. And by the way, Tamu is single, but I'm her agent, so you got to go through me. So if you
I like
wanna-
fancy cocktails and dinner. That's all you need
if
to know
you
about me.
inbox
Okay.
Mike Burke on Instagram, I will see if you're capable to go and get access to Tamu. But you can just make a date to the Cocktailery and you can ask her out for yourself. So
You all know where to find me.
know where to find her. Thank you so much,
Thank
baby.
you so
Your
much.
story is amazing.
So
You're
fun.
inspiring so many different people.
I hope
and
so.
let's get the second store open.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.